pixel art tutorial last night, so I'm a little bit set up for that one. Let me go to the documents RPG. Uh-oh. I don't want feedback on the loop. There we go. Okay. Alright, so yeah, I was doing a pixel art tutorial. Well, I guess you could call that sort of pixel art with me kind of thing last night. So I'm set up for that. I need to set up everything back for scripting. So let me just get that going. The robot tutorial is where we were at. I'm going to reiterate all that for you guys real quick, and we'll go over it again just so that you guys can remember, because it's going to take a little bit before you guys remember all that. So I believe it was window capture there, and I can turn off monitor capture now, though some of you guys seem to prefer monitor capture, so let's go ahead and leave that going. Alright, so and don't save. Alright. Yeah. So hopefully there's a couple of you guys in here. I'm gonna double check the list and take a look real quick. Still need to get the plugin that allows me to do more with the list. It looks like we have a couple people here. I doubt all of you guys are present, but it still should be a fun little tutorial. So hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm trying my best to talk into the mic. Alright, let's do it. If you guys remember, I taught you guys how to make a class. The way classes work is that you can create new classes. Basically, this is all the behavior and the attributes and the variables of the class, and we can change it by creating a new instance of a class. So an instance of a class allows us to be able to take the class, all the information of the class, and then change it up so that we have one instance of a class that has different variables than another instance of a class. So let me just go over an example. A good example is the actor class. So the actor class, which is an actual class in RPG Maker, known as Game Actor, has a whole bunch of information, but there is only one class in the script editor. So in Game Actor, there's only this one script of Game Actor, and it covers a whole bunch of stuff. It's a very big thing. So, but there is, like I said, only one class of Game Actor, and from that class, a whole bunch of different instances of that class can be made. So Eric is an instance of the Game Actor class, and Eric contains all this information of a nickname, then his regular name, level, class. All these are different from each instance of the actor class. So each of these is an instance of the actor class. What that means is that the actor class has a whole bunch of information in it. It can be changed, and we change it by creating a new instance and then manipulating all that, and it never affects the actual class itself. So it's very useful. It allows us to do a whole bunch of cool things. It's very important. But yeah, so we have the class robot. I showed you guys how to make a new instance of a class by going and saving it to a variable. In this case, a global variable is where we're saving it, and we're doing robot.new, and that creates a new instance of a class. Anytime you have the class name followed by .new, you're creating a new instance of the class. And we pass some information into it still, so we can pass information to and from classes, or to and from defs in classes. These right here. This is a def, and we can pass information into and out of defs. So we pass information into defs by putting these parentheses after the name of the def and typing in what the name of the information we're passing to should be. So The word steel is being saved into plating type. So anytime we type plating type, whatever information we type there will be we pass through will be used. And so at this point, we're saving plating as the plating type. The best way I can explain that is variables. So variables, they store information, but they're always referenced from the name you use for them. So in this case, the name power mode will have the information that we pass through to it. So if power mode is so if power mode is 3, then anytime we type in to check power mode, it'll come back 3. And if at some point later down the line we change it, we just still use the word power mode to reference whatever information's in there. So it's like a storage container for information, and the storage container never changes. The information or what we have in that storage container will have different information depending on what we do with it. So it's just like a storage container, like a bucket or something. If we have a bucket and we fill it with water, then somewhere down the line we fill it with we remove the water and fill it with sand, that's just like a variable. It's being stored is a bucket, being stored in a bucket. It's we can change it and the bucket never changes. So in other words, the name of the variable won't change. The what's in it can though. So we use a lot of variables in if statements. If statements almost always will have a variable in them. Otherwise, there's no point in really writing the if statement, because if 2 equals 3, or if 2 equals 3, I mean 2 is never going to equal 3, so whatever's in here is never going to happen. So there's no point in writing something that's static. If steel equals steel, I mean everything in here is always going to happen. So there's no point in even writing it. But when we have a variable, variables change. So we'll just call it var. So when we have a variable, variables change. So this variable could change to anything, and you never know whether or not this statement will be true unless you have been really following the logic. So in this case, we never know if the variable is going to be greater than 3 or not. So at some point it may not be true, and whatever's inside here won't happen. So you're manipulating a lot of things using that, and it's very useful. Like in this case, we don't always know if the plating is going to be steel or if it's going to be diamond. So, or if it's just going to be something else entirely. So those are the things that we keep in mind here when we do these setups. So here we have a bunch of upgrades, Thunderbot, robots, etc. So defs, I showed you guys how to pass information to them. I explained some variable stuff, went over the writer, accessor, reader. Those are very simple, just determines what information is sent through. So using writer, we can change the variable from outside of the class. Using reader, we can read the variable outside of the class, so we could tell what the variable's value is when we're outside of the class. And accessor allows us to do both. So in this case, in writer's case, we can't access the information outside of the class, but we can write to that information in the class, which is good. That would be useful for if you only want to be able to, if you have no need to change, or if you have no need to read the information outside the class. If the information never needs to be checked outside of the class, but something outside the class does need to change it, then we would use writer, because it's very specific, it's very useful. It allows no room for error. So the less error we get, the better. So attr writer, it's not going to be used often though. Your reader is used a lot more, and accessor is probably used the most. So accessor is really useful because it allows both. Then just doing a variable like at super upgrade, whether it's not an attr up here, it's just created inside some part of the class. That one is like the opposite of accessor. It can't be read, it can't be written to outside of the class. It is only ever used and referenced inside of the class. So those are the different variables. Then we have the initialize. So this is how we pass information into it. In order to pass information out, we would do the return. So just a reminder, once you return information, the code past the return isn't read. So anything I type here, any code that I would add here would not be read. It would just be completely ignored, and there's no point in writing anything after it. If we put the return in an if, maybe we'd have some stuff after just to keep it going. It's a lot like in the let's see, where is it? It's a lot like the end or break. I believe it's in flow control. It's exit event processing. It's a lot like that. So let's see who else here. Looks like we got a few more people. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, we're learning some of that, just going over some of that. So we know how to send information into a class. We know how to send information out. Another thing was the initialize def, which is a special one. Anytime you do .new, that's the one that's ran. So this is what's ran whenever we create a new one. And so I showed you how to call a def from another def. So setup is called from the initialize one. So once it reads which plating type we're saving it as, we jump over to setup and it reads all this for setup. So that's how that works. If we want to reference a def outside of the class, which more often than not we might do, we would just type the name of the variable that instance of the class is saved in, followed by a dot. And then super upgrade, for example, would be the getting the super upgrade information using def. So this calls this right here. This calls the def of the class. So the basic diamond robot, it'll read the super upgrade and it'll check if this stuff's true, and then it'll return a value. So we are getting the value out after running the code, and then we're printing to the black screen that'll give us when we do a test. Hold on. Okay, good, we're doing good. I was making sure it didn't eat the code. Anyways, steel robot.upgrade. That was an example of reading the upgrade class, which was right here. So whenever we call the upgrade class, whenever we call the upgrade def inside the robot class, it'll upgrade the armor of the class by 5. So I showed you guys how to do that, explained how to add to a variable. The plus equals, that's how we do arithmetic in variables. Otherwise it's fairly unintuitive. This one's way more intuitive. It's a nice thing about Ruby, actually. Ruby's main purpose is to be a lot easier to read, which makes it really good for beginners. The unless statement in Ruby is useful. The plus equals in Ruby is useful because they're both easier to read overall. So let's see, def north is pressed, east is pressed. So we have all these defs we made. Yeah. So this is a lot of what I wanted to cover.